Welcome back to the Carl Jackson Show, guys. I want to give you the number one reason that Christians, in my opinion, should vote for Donald Trump. You may not like the guy, and I completely understand that there's going to be a lot of listeners. There's going to be some viewers that simply don't like him. But you're comparing Kamala Harris to Trump. You may not like either one of them. But if you're a Christian, there's one reason in particular that I believe that you should vote for Donald Trump. And that reason is the First Amendment. That reason is free speech. Between every election cycle, when we exercise our right to free speech, we get to spread the gospel. We get to save the lives of babies. We get to promote righteousness in our culture. So without the ability to speak freely, that makes it's very difficult to do. Now, obviously, as Christians, there's the Great Commission, where to go out and spread the gospel. So no matter where we are, we should be willing to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. But we happen to live in the United States of America, the most blessed country ever to exist in world history. And we should not so willingly and flippantly give up our right to be able to share the gospel. Again, what you're doing with every election cycle as Christians is you're buying time with each election cycle to save more souls. That is your fundamental duty as a Christian. So Christians should be involved in voting. I'm going to make the case further make the case for voting for Trump if you happen to be a Christian. Now, I understand this guy has moral failings. I have moral failings. And I completely understand your hesitancy, but I do believe that we're living in a time where, unfortunately, I don't think Christians have the moral authority to say, listen, I don't like this candidate and I don't like this candidate, so I'm just going to sit it out. Truthfully, the reason why we have the candidates that we have, if I'm being honest, is simply because so few Christians vote. Literally, I've read stories, 30 to 40 million Christians sit it out every election cycle. Approximately 30 million Christians or more plan to sit it out this election. Are you crazy? Are you kidding me? You've got people that have died for your ability to be able to go out and vote, and you're just going to say, no, we're not going to deal with that. Well, if you don't vote, then you won't have an impact in the culture, or you won't have as big of an impact in the culture as you should as a Christian. Let me give you some more reasons. These are things that Trump did. Now, I understand early election is underway in some states. I believe early election may have started in places like Pennsylvania. I believe the same is true if for Georgia, or at least started this week. And next week, early voting is going to be starting for Florida. So I'm going to be voting early, and I'm going to try to encourage others to get out there and vote as well, and then try to bring some people to vote for election day, or try to convince some people to vote on election day. So this is what's happening. A lot of Christians, again, are saying, listen, I don't want to vote for Trump. I don't want to vote for Kamala. I want to sit this out. You'll hear this from evangelicals. You'll hear this from Catholics. I've had a couple of conversations with people that were just like, I'm just disgusted with the choices. I don't want to vote for either one of these guys. And then again, listen, I understand that there's some people that are going to be adamant and say, listen, I'm simply not going to vote for either one of the candidates in a situation like that. I tell people, okay, well, you can also vote for down ballot races. So make sure that you show up for the down ballot races. But I believe that I would encourage you to vote for the president. One thing I will say that I absolutely love about Trump is an unconventional guy. There was a column in the Federalist called "The Christian Case for Voting for Trump." Now, Trump is an unconventional guy. You may like his ways, you may not like his ways. But given the circumstances that we're living in, given the times that we're living in, I think you need somebody that has a spine like Donald Trump to be able to bust up some of the bureaucracy, some of the deep state that exists within Washington, D.C. So it's important that you have a person with his type of personality. Now, you're not going to like everything about that. I certainly get that, certainly understand that. There's things that he says, and I'm like, oh, I just cringe. I wish he would say it differently. I wish he would speak more like J.D. Vance more of the time. Totally get that. But this guy has a heart to fight back against the radical left. And again, to be able to preserve our free speech rights. Now, those of us that are Christians, we believe that we should be salt and light right? Salt and light to the United States of America. In America, we have a unique ability to vote that doesn't exist in many other places. Again, we have our Bill of Rights. The government actually works for us. That is a unique idea in world history. So we, the people, actually rule as opposed to our leaders ruling us, even though because we've sat out at voting, a lot of them have gotten that twisted. But Trump says what he thinks, and sometimes I get that. That can be a little frustrating to people. And he's not this, major virtuous figure, if you will. And I completely get that. So I understand why Christians would be hesitant. But let me share with you some things that Trump has done well when it comes to defending Christians. And this is why I say free speech is important. This is something that Trump at least gets in this regard. He protected the conscious rights of doctors and nurses and teachers while he was in office, as well as religious groups such as Sisters of the Poor. He doubled the child tax credit and expanded family leave. Now, I got to admit, I'm not a big advocate for that. I believe that's more big government stuff. But I understand that comes from those are good intentions in the Republican Party. But that is more of in my opinion, that's more of a big government idea. So I'm not the biggest fan of that. But at least the intentions were to make sure that families were able to spend time together, that couples that are having children would feel somewhat incentivized, I guess, to have children as a result of that. He also brought back the public celebration of Christmas. You guys might remember this. He did a great job just saying Merry Christmas. Do you guys remember the attacks on Christmas before Trump got in? Now, I was saying Merry Christmas. And I know many of you that are listening to this program or watching this program are probably saying Merry Christmas, but there was an all-out assault by the left, and it continues. Kamala Harris, there's video out here of her saying, "How dare we say Merry Christmas?" That's Kamala Harris. That's who she is. All right, so it's absolutely insane. But this is where we're living. Trump stood with our Jewish brothers and sisters in Israel. He moved the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem. All right. And he stood with the people of Israel. The Bible is clear when it comes to the nation of Israel. I will bless those that bless you, and I will curse those that curse you. All right. He also did a lot to rescue victims from human trafficking. He also did more to protect mothers and their unborn babies than any other president before him, quite frankly, in modern history, at least. In addition to instituting pro-life policies, obviously, he put the pro-lifers on the Supreme Court of the United States. And actually, they're just constitutionalists. Honestly, I don't even think, like, when it comes to Kavanaugh and, Amy Coney Barrett, frankly, I wish there were more conservative people that he put on the bench. But I respect him for fighting for Kavanaugh. You guys might remember that fight. So these are things that Trump has done to fight and defend the Christian faith in the United States of America, and you got to give him you got to give the man some credit for that. Again, he's a bit unconventional, but his personality has given him the strength to buck some of these bureaucratic systems. We've seen the persecution that he's endured from all of this lawfare. This is something that a lot of lukewarm Republicans or rhinos, if you will, would not do. Now, on the other hand, Kamala Harris has been completely hostile to Christians. She's been openly hostile to Christians. She's promised to override state laws by signing legislation that established a national right to unrestricted late-term abortion on demand. I believe her issue with reparations, constantly bringing up reparations, I think that's evil. I think that only serves to divide more Americans. You're going to cause more, Americans of different ethnic groups to despise Black people while you're trying to buy their vote. I think that's wrong. She is the first sitting vice president also to have visited an abortion facility, and she thinks there's something that is moral about that. That's insane. As a senator, she voted against protections for babies who survive abortions. And so this is stuff that you should know about Kamala Harris. I mean, she was instrumental in Proposition 47 in California. That's the law that allows criminals basically to steal up to $950 without any prosecution. This is who you're dealing with. All right. So we have to remember that. As Vice President Harris also has been a part of the most extreme anti-Christian administration in history, according to the Federalist. You might remember that the FBI issued a memo labeling radical traditional Catholics, quote unquote, as violent extremists. This, according to the House Weaponization Subcommittee, they conducted the raid on Mark Houck's home as a pro-life activist. They weaponized, Biden and Harris did, the Department of Justice, targeting pro-life activists while failing to prosecute pro-abortion extremists who threaten and terrorize churches and pro-life pregnancy centers. I mean, this is absolutely insane. Harris also played a key role in ramming through Title IX reforms that allow males to compete in women's sports and use women's locker rooms. She's also an advocate for child abuse. And when I say child abuse, I mean transing kids. And she's also for open borders. And look at the heinous crimes that have resulted as a result of open borders. It's insane. We'll be back with more. A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss, and it's your gain. For the first time ever, you can get a standard classic MyPillow for wholesale prices. That's just $14.88. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're offering their entire classic collection at wholesale prices. You can get the queen size MyPillow for just $18.88. You can upgrade to a king for only $1 more. You can get the body pillows for $29.88 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.88. Go to MyPillow.com, use the promo code Carl, or call 800-858-0263 to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever. On top of that, receive free shipping on orders that are over $75. They have never been offered this low before. Okay, so there are limited quantities at this price. So the limit is 10. And once they're gone, they are gone. So go to mypillow.com or give them a call at 800-858-0263 and use the promo code Carl, C-A-R-L. I don't spell it like the commie, to get the standard MyPillow for only $14.88. That's the lowest price ever. And also know that you're supporting American manufacturing and American jobs, along with getting a good night's rest. MyPillow.com, promo code Carl.